I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks to make a 2D symmetrical skull for your Day of the Dead projects. First, you're going to need to get a piece of white paper, you need a pencil, scissors, glue, maybe a little scrap of black to get started. After that, you can get paper from the scrap bin. We will also have some maybe glitter and sequins to enhance them on another day as well. So the first thing that you need to do to make this symmetrical is fold your paper in half the long way, like a hot dog. And if you can see in my skull right here, okay, that it is symmetrical, meaning that it is the same on both sides. So that's why we're folding our paper in half, so we can create a mirror image. I'm going to focus on the middle part here being the center of my paper. A lot of times when people do this, they draw on the edges and then they have two pieces that fall apart, and I will show you what that looks like in a little bit. But I'm going to show you the right way first. So I'm going to fold my paper. Okay, if we look at the skull, we're going to kind of focus on the shape of it, right? So we kind of have almost like a circle at the top, square at the bottom. So that's how we're going to draw it. I'm going to use a Sharpie just so you can see it easier. You should use a pencil. The Sharpie will leave lines behind, something that you can erase if you need to erase something, so use a pencil. Using the folded edge as kind of your starting point, we're going to draw a semicircle and then kind of a squared off shape. It's almost going to look like an igloo. So start right in the center. Try not to dip down or up too far. Kind of almost just go straight first. Semicircle. Before you go all the way down, then you're going to bring it out into almost a rectangular shape. Kind of curve the edge a little bit. Okay, so you can kind of see that it looks similar to an igloo, maybe a baseball cap, car, whatever you can relate to there. Leave it folded, and now we're going to cut it out. I recommend drawing this as big as you can. That way, if you mess something up, you can try to resize it with what you have left. Okay, so now I have this, and I open it up, and I can see the shape that I've created. It might be the jaw. Right down here, as this is kind of representing the jaw area, might be a little bit too big. So what I can do is I can redraw that. So it's a little too long, so I'm just going to bring it up a little bit. So that's what I said, if you draw it really big and you need to fix things, you can do it without having to get another piece of paper and waste the paper, okay? So you can very easily continue doing this to make things symmetrical. You could use a piece of black paper folded to make your eyes, so a nice big circle shape, because you're not actually making eyes, right? You are making the holes where the eyes would be. So they should be a little bit larger than you might think they would be. So I drew one circle, kept my paper folded, and then I can kind of cut that out, and you can see maybe by the scale that this isn't quite big enough. But that would be a good thing to do to kind of keep things symmetrical. Like if you wanted to do a flower on each side, you could use the folded paper concept, and so you would have two exactly the same. Or if you want to just use markers and Sharpies, you can do that as well. All right, I'm going to do a couple of things the wrong way here. Okay, so start off the same way. Folded paper, instead of using the folded edge, I'm going to use the open edge so you can see what happens. Okay, so same idea. I'm going to draw this smaller so I can do a couple of goofy things here from things that I've seen. Okay, so there's kind of my igloo shape. Looks good so far, but I'm on the open edge. Okay, these aren't going to magically connect to each other when I'm done cutting them out. So when you do all your drawings on the edge, right, they are not connected. These two ends do not touch each other, so they will not touch each other if you use the folded, or if you use the open edges instead of the folded edges. A couple other things that I've been seeing kids do that make them frustrated is the way they draw their stuff. So when they're drawing the big semicircle part, they really kind of dip down and in like that. Okay, when you have that, you're gonna end up with a heart shape because you have dipped in so far. So let's cut that out and see what it looks like. Okay, so there's my shape. When I open it up, it looks not like a skull at all. So instead of giving up and quitting, think about what I said and trying to fix this. So instead of dipping up or down, just kind of almost start off just straight. So redraw your line and then cut it and see if that looks any better. If you're still upset with it, just keep trying. Practice on this piece until you get what you want. And then you can get another piece of paper and you know the right way to do it. Okay, so practice a little bit before you get another piece of paper so that we're not just doing the same mistakes over and over and over. Another thing that I've been seeing is the emphasis of the jaw over the head. So this bottom part, right, is where the mouth would go, and it should be smaller than the circle. But I've had a bunch of kids making these super big things like this, where this is the jaw and this is the head. So again, let's cut this out and see what it looks like. All right, open it up. Kind of look like mushroom. All right, so stop and think before you cut. Try to visualize what that's going to look like. And if you can't visualize it, if you make a mistake, try to solve your problems before you just get another piece of paper. Can you trim it down to make it a more appropriate shape that you are happier with? Can you just practice on your sketchbook, on the scrap paper, how you're going to draw that before you just stop and give up? So those are things that you need to try as you are working on your 2D version of your Day of the Dead Calavera.